Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tuesday, March 3rd, 5 p.m. We are here to open up our meeting, and we'll go ahead and make a roll call, please.
Councilmember Bausch?
Here.
Councilmember Beal?
Here.
Councilmember Gregory?
Here.
Councilmember Strong? Mayor Hammond?
Aye, here. All right, we're going to go ahead and use closed sessions, and Elizabeth, you want to tell us what we have?
Thank you, sir. We are going into closed session on one item. It's conference with legal counsel regarding real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. It is related to a portion of Pioneer Park located at 1910 Riverside Avenue. Agency negotiators are the city manager, Mr. Hewitt, and Angelica Fortin, our community services director. And the city will be negotiating with potentially three parties. The first is Pioneer Museum Foundation. The second is the Housing Authority of San Luis Obispo. And the third would be the 16th District Agricultural Association.
Okay. We'll open up for public comment. Do we have anybody in the public we needed to? Robert Colleen? Okay. Okay. Well, we can talk to later. Go ahead. Anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and bring it back and adjourn to closed session, and we'll reconvene at 6 p.m.
recess.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Paso City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 3rd, 6 p.m. We're reconvening from closed session. We'll go ahead and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and if we all stand, and then stay standing for Pastor Gabriel for the invocation. Join with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Gabe.
I don't come here this evening as a religious figure. I believe that we can call upon a sovereign God. And we're praying for the blessing of our city. And God, as I pray, I'm thinking of the fact that we won the lottery being born in the U.S. God, we could be other places in the world, but you have us here, Lord God. I think the 40-some years I've been here, that I've kind of won the lottery being in Paso Robles with such great people, such a great city. Thank you, Lord God, that we're not running into bomb shelters and we're not overwhelmed with crime, Lord God. I pray a hedge of the Holy Spirit around our city and around our city officials. I pray that you would give them wisdom, Lord God, to carry out their duties properly, Lord God. I pray that our city will be a city of high morality and peace. Lord God, that we would connect ourselves, Lord, with one another, and we would connect ourselves with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. God, so I pray, God, a blessing of this meeting tonight, Lord God. May all the conversation be right, and may things fall in order, and may we look back at this day and say, God bless this meeting. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Melissa, will you do roll call, please?
Councilmember Bausch? Here. Councilmember Beal?
Here.
Councilmember Gregory?
He is right behind me.
He is here. And Councilmember Strong?
Here.
Mayor Hammond?
Here. And staff introduction, starting on my right. Melissa?
Melissa Martin, City Clerk, joined by Mary Sponhouse, Deputy City Clerk.
Warren Frace, Community Development Director.
Chris Hewitt, City Manager.
And Elizabeth Hall, City Attorney.
Thank you. We will go ahead and move on for the report out from closed session. City Attorney Hall, would you let us know how that came out?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council went in earlier this evening to closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The property in question is a portion of Pioneer Park located at 1910 Riverside Avenue. And the negotiating parties between the city and three potential purchasers. One is Pioneer Museum Foundation, one is the Housing Authority of San Luis Obispo, and the third was the 16th District Agricultural Association. There's no reportable action.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Moving on then to presentations, we have two tonight. First one's going to be capital projects from Ditas Esperanza, our capital project engineer. Ditas?
Let's see if it works. Use this one, right? Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and the public. This is our monthly status report of projects in this Public Works Department. The first part of the presentation are projects in active construction. This is a list of the active construction projects in Public Works. I will have a status report on each of them along with some photos of the update. First is the pickleball court as part of the Sherwood Park improvements. You can see there that the light poles inside the courts are installed, and the posts for the interior fencing that will be inside the courts are also there. And we are poised to be ready to finish the work on target per the contract, which is end of May. Next is the 12th and Railroad Lot improvement. You can see that the amenities are installed, and actually, when I took this picture, it was a couple of weeks ago. In the meantime, we opened the parking lot, and it's now being used by the public. However, some of the EVC charging stations are non-functional. We're still waiting for some material equipment that got a delay in delivery, and also we're still waiting for PG&E to deliver power to get those powered up. However, everything else is in place, the bench, the trash, the bike rack, fencing, and the decorative lights are operational. So it's pretty safe, and people can now park there. We don't have a picture because just recently the parking lot at the Marv's area opened up as well. And I'll share that with our CMO update, and you can see the pictures of those. Those are actually open also, and as of Friday, people were using it as well. The next coming up for construction is the Sierra Bonita neighborhood road repairs. If you recall, we did upgraded the water services 3 or 5 years ago using water enterprise funds, and then we upgraded all the curb ramps using the CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant. And so now we are actually ready to do the resurfacing of the road. We've posted the signs to let people know that the road repair is funded with the Measure I-24. So the contractor will be delivering door hanger notices to each of the residents there to tell them of the upcoming project and to notify them to please mind the no parking signs in the areas where they will be actively doing the work. And actually, yeah, okay. The next is our West Side fiberized slurry seal project. This picture shows the leveling course being installed. They're actually done with the leveling course. In a couple of weeks, they're coming for the last phase, which is actually placement of the fiberized slurry. So I just want to remind everybody, fiberized slurry is used to people are saying, well, why are you doing these streets? They don't look so bad. That's the reason why we're doing these streets. They're not so bad, and so we're able to catch them before they further degrade. And so for almost a minimum of cost, which is about $2 million for all those streets, we're able to prolong their service life so that they won't degrade so rapidly and have to be costly. Sierra Bonita have failed, and so Sierra Bonita neighborhood is beyond slurry seal. Those are actually grind and overlay, and those are a few $1 million. And thank goodness we have Measure I-24 to fund those streets. So that's the reason why we're doing these streets on the west side. They're not as bad, and so we can use this treatment. And finally, I will turn this over to Dave Licaro to talk about the Black Oak repairs. And then I'll come back for upcoming projects.
We're doing a little bit of flip-flop here. David Licaro, Public Works Operations Manager. Just a real quick update. Our crews just completed Black Oak Drive. This is a minor paving repair project. As you'll remember, as part of the I-24 half-cent sales tax measure, staff was tasked to conduct minor repairs. We've been coming up with a list of various minor repair projects throughout town. Black Oaks was one of them. This is one of the 4 most recent completed projects. This was fantastic. We began the project in late January. We finished up in February, and as you know, we didn't get to do our CIP update, so we didn't get a chance to share this with you. But this was an opportunity to make the roadway a lot smoother coming in and out of the Echo facility, among other areas, commercial in that area. It gave us a chance to really kind of continue the workforce education and really kind of get our hands around these paving projects. Just a fun fact here, 67 tons of asphalt was laid, and this was 2,500 square foot, and we were able to finish that up in a little less than 3 weeks. So anyway, as we mentioned, there's a list of projects going on. The next one that we're going to be doing is going to be Crescent Road and Myrtlewood. That is going to be done in anticipation to some RRFB project work that's going to be happening in the near future. Thank you.
We'll put a pause on that in case you have questions of Dave or myself of projects in construction before I go to the upcoming projects. Okay, so then we'll go to the upcoming projects.
Why don't can we ask questions here real quick?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's do that and then get into the next one. First off, question from council on Ditas or David's? Okay, I had a couple, actually. Start off backwards. David, the Black Oak trash cans, I don't know if you've been told, but I was talking with Mr. Huat about adding some cans there for that area, which I think Paso Robles Waste is willing to do, but you might be seeing that come from Chris's side to kind of figure out how we can maybe make that happen.
Yes, Mayor. We'll be looking at potential opportunities to add some trash cans in that area, and I believe Ms. 14 is actually working. They've been working on some potential improvements to Black Oak Drive as part of our homeless service outreach. So I think you'll probably be seeing something in your next quarterly update to review.
Oh, okay, very good. And that was all for you, David, thank you. And then on the Spring Street to Vine on 13th, that was actually a slurry that you put down between,
Oh, that's a leveling course now.
yes.
Then it will become, then we'll put the fiberized slurry on top.
I was wondering, because that didn't look like a slurry to me. I mean.
No, it's just a very thin leveling course, and the purpose of it is to smooth out the rough surface so that when the slurry goes on top, it will be on top of a smooth surface.
Got it.
So that's the treatment that we use.
Does that trigger ADA though at all?
No, it
Good,
does not.
that's what I'm hoping, yeah. I think
Right.
I asked you about this before, how
Right.
we can kind of level out things before we slurry, that would be
Right.
just.
That's another reason why we use this treatment,
Yeah.
is because that way it's not going to trigger the curb ramp upgrades and so minimize the cost. Unlike Sierra Bonita, we knew they were rough, and so they would need to have a heavy rehabilitation. So that's why we upgraded all the curb ramps using CDBG funds.
So that was my next one, Sierra Bonita, that definitely is going to be a grind and overlay.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And then the 12th Street Railroad parking, that is essentially done. And are we under budget, or where did it come out on numbers? Both that and the pickleball. I'm just curious how the budget was so far.
The pickleball court we're in budget. The parking lot is a little bit more challenging. We did run into some PG&E issues, and then the surface on the 12th Street parking lot were very rough, so we needed to add more asphalt, but not hugely over budget. But
Okay.
the contract that we have with Souza,
Within the percentage?
which is within the percentage, right, right.
Perfect. Okay. That's all I had. I want, if you want to continue with your,
Okay, so now we're going to the upcoming projects. And here's the list. So the first one on the list is the Creston Road Phase 2, which includes a roundabout at Rolling Hills. And I'm pleased to announce that the bid docs were just finished today between Vicki and I. And so we are poised and ready to advertise for bids on March 12th, which is next Thursday. And bids are due April 23rd. And if all the bids are good and the apparent low bidder is a responsible and responsive bid, we will be ready to bring it to you for approval at your meeting in May. And then we would be ready to be in construction soon after school is out for the summer. So that's a major milestone for this project.
and that time frame, how long would that, you think that roundabout's going to take?
It's a 275 working day
Yeah, three-quarters.
project, but we structured the bid document so that work from Melody to Niblick is not that much, and so we structured it so that we would issue 2 notice of proceeds. They'll start at the same time at the roundabout and have 275 working days. We give them that much to finish it, and then they'll start at the same time to do a little bit of fiber conduit and some paving from about Melody to Niblick, and we're giving them a little bit of time for that. So they're going at the same time, so that way, because typically contractors are very linear, and so we're trying to make it so that it'll occur at the same time.
Like a
and
parallel track.
Parallel, right.
Yeah.
And then we've received dedication of some public roads from the Grange property, so we're able to do the frontage. Right now, there's no improvements there because we didn't have the adequate public right-of-way, but we were able to get that from them a few weeks ago, so we're going to be improving that short between the Nick's Barber Shop, in front of Nick's Barber Shop, and in front of Grange property, so that's also a different phase, so we're giving them a different time frame for that, but we structured it so that once they start there, they can't leave. They have to start there and finish it within 20 working days and be done with it.
That's a great improvement right there. It's always a bottleneck right there. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a major milestone for Creston Road.
Edith, I have a question over here.
Sure.
So much of what you do is happening behind the scenes, like legal, getting bids, there's just so much that goes on to get to this point of construction. Eventually, there will be a contractor. Can you tell me a little bit staff's involvement during the construction phase? How exactly are you overseeing kind of the progress of the work and stuff going on the site?
You mean when we go into construction? Okay, so we'll still have North Coast Engineering, who's the design engineer. They will provide us support to answer technical questions and that might come up because it's their design, so they'll have questions. The contractor will have questions on their design, so they'll still be under contract to assist in with the staff. We'll probably award the construction contract at the same time as we award the construction phase engineering for North Coast Engineering. A few months ago, you also awarded a contract to hire a construction management, Vanier Construction. So they'll be the on-site folks to be the eyes and ears of mine and keep me posted on any problems and issues that may come up. And so with this type of project, we meet once a week, and I take the lead on those meetings, and we go over any issues that may come up, answer questions, discuss problems that may come up, any public relations issues that came up that we must address. So I have a whole agenda, and then we have Sean, who is also a city staff, who assists with making sure traffic control is good and that the contractor is using wise decisions in using their equipment. So, staff is very much involved and guides the construction.
Thank you.
So the next project that is coming up is the downtown streets road repairs. If you recall, you awarded the design phase of this project, and this is using the Measure I-24 funds. This is probably going to be about a $7 or $8 million project, so it's good that we have Measure I-24. And the road repair treatment is very robust, so we will need to upgrade curb ramps. And then there's a bit of a sewer. You can see in the green, there's a bit of a sewer that we would need to upgrade. So someone said, well, why are you doing Olive and not Pine Street? Well, because Olive, and so I told them, oh yeah, but we're doing Pine Street, it's coming up. So that's coming up.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
So this neighborhood definitely could use it, so everybody's very excited about this. And I know that there will be stormwater considerations with the design work, right? Because the stormwater is an issue here, the bubble drains.
Yeah.
Do you I've had a couple people ask me about the parking situation because, there's no angled parking, but then one block down, there's like angled parking. Is that all going to be considered or part of the process in terms of the design? Should people be weighing in, or do you have smart engineers weighing in on that?
I don't think that's part of the plan. If there's angled parking there already, that was already vetted out through, there was a study that was done many years ago, and they decided that these spots will be okay for angled parking, and we did that, and I don't think that there's any more after that. But yeah, currently it's not in the plan.
So basically, the plan would be to continue the type of parking that's already existing?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And then the Orchard Bungalow is also on the list. We're doing preliminary engineering. Again, Measure I-24 is funding this project. I'm not sure if maybe the neighborhood saw some equipment out there last week doing deflection testing and gathering field data so the engineers can decide what sort of maintenance treatment will be needed for these roads, but it will likely be a very robust treatment because those streets are pretty bad.
Well, they're not up to really city code either.
Well, yeah.
Is it going to be an overlay, or do you think it's going to be more of a slurry kind of?
It's probably more of a grind and overlay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then Sherwood is also coming up. Again, we did the water services a few years ago, and now we're ready to do the road repairs. And again, this is going to be a robust treatment, and so we will be needing to do the curb ramps. And finally, we have the Commerce Way. As you can see, we have the plans ready to go. We're just waiting for the sewer to be completed, and I understand the sewer will be completed in June of this year, and so on the heels of that, we will advertise for bids and then begin the road repairs for Commerce Way. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more. So Riverside from 17th to 21st is also on the list using the supplemental sales tax. But this time we're going to bifurcate the project. We will start with the curb ramp upgrades and sidewalk repairs using CDBG. So this was approved as a CDBG project a while back, so we will begin that work. We will likely go into construction fairly soon, and we will structure the bid documents so that they must be done and out of the way before the Mid-State Fair.
Perfect.
And then next year, we will start the road repairs, and then they must finish before the Mid-State Fair. And I think that is all my presentation.
Okay, questions from council? Okay, I'll open it up to public on this one. Anybody would like to make a comment here? Come on up.
I was forwarded a question. Linda George, 3126 Spring Street. How much has the pickleball court cost so far?
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment. And Deedus, do you have an idea of where we are on budget on that total?
Well, the contract award was right around $2 million, I think.
2 million?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anyone online, Melissa?
No, sir.
Okay. Oh, Dale, go ahead. Dale?
He doesn't want to talk on
You're not going to speak?
Thanks for fixing the parking lot on Riverside.
There you go. Very good. All right, we'll go ahead and move on then to presentation number 2, Insurance Services Office Presentation. Chief Stornetta, this is going to be a good one.
Setting me up.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Hammond, members of the council, Jonathan Stornetta, Fire Chief. Does it go to presenter mode, or are you working on that? There we go. Thank you. All right, next slide, please. Perfect. So let me describe to those in the community and the audience here, if you don't know what ISO is. So ISO is an independent organization that evaluates municipal fire service efforts across the U.S. So how is your fire department positioned to provide the public safety to your communities? And when they conduct this evaluation, they provide us what's called a PPC score, so a public provider public protection classification. Sorry, I'm thinking about another project, public provider. And a score of 1 to 10. 1's the highest PPC rating that any fire department can receive, and it means you have a superior department. And then 10 is you're not meeting that criteria that ISO evaluates. Next slide, please. So why this matters for the community, it looks like we got cut off a little bit there. But one is cost savings, so insurance rates. So typically as your ISO rating increases, your insurance rates will decrease over time. And the reason it decreases over time is because it takes a little while. Most of us renew our memberships annually. And then also the insurance companies want to make sure, okay, just because you move to a 2, we want to make sure you stay there and you don't go back to a 3 the following year. So they're really gauging where we're at as far as our rating. And this takes place every 5 years. So our last evaluation was in 2020. It also provides market confidence. So once those insurers start seeing, okay, there's a class 2 up there, it brings more insurance companies into your area. And then that in turn creates competition, which also further lowers our rates. And then also, having a better ISO rating shows public confidence that the money or the funding they're investing in their fire department is actually having a direct impact on the services they receive, as well as the benefits as far as your insurance premiums. Next slide, please. So ISO evaluates 3 different areas, and those areas are fire department, water supply, and emergency communications for a total of 100%. The fire department really looks at our equipment. How many fire engines do we have? How old are the fire engines? What are the capabilities of them? Gallons per minute, are there ladder trucks? Different specialties in there. Also the training. So do we have sufficient training? They look at all our training hours. Are we training enough? Are we meeting national standards? And then it looks at the geographical distribution of our fire stations. So where are our fire stations located? How many fire stations do we have? What are the age of those stations? And then the next category is water supply. So they want to make sure that there's a sufficient amount of water supply for if we do have a large fire, that we have fire flow that'll sustain multiple hours of extinguishment for a fire. Also a big part of that is the maintenance of our water system. So our water department conducting the hydrant maintenance annually, the flow testing of each hydrant annually, and there's 3,000 fire hydrants in the city. And our water division is not very big, so it is extremely difficult for them to get all this done in a year. And I do applaud them for doing so much with so little personnel there. And then emergency communications, they evaluate our dispatch system, and I'll go into a little bit of what they're looking at when they look at our dispatch center. And then there's what we call a divergence factor, and that's community risk reduction. So that's extra credit points. So they look at how we're doing in fire prevention, our inspections, public education, risk mitigation, so our wildland fire mitigation efforts. So really we could take our score to 105.5 with the extra credit. Next slide, please. So I'm happy to report, and this is a huge step forward and the first time ever for this city that we received a Class 2 rating for our PPC rating. There is a 2X there. I'll explain that on the next slide. So our total score was just over 82 points out of the 100.5, but we are really on the bubble here because you're going to see those 2.3 points could go away very easily. So we need to make sure that we keep pace with the development coming, that the fire department continues to meet those demands and services, especially with all the new motels coming in. The more we grow, obviously, the more that we're going to have to keep pace with that. And also, the ISO evaluates 37,000 fire departments annually, and only 2,900 of those departments are in a Class 2. So this is significant for our city. Next slide, please. So what does the Class 2 and the 2X, the difference between them is that the Class 2 are properties that are within 5 miles of a fire station, and there's a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of any type of residential or community development. The 2X means that the fire hydrant is beyond the 1,000 feet. So, there are some areas in the city as we get out on the edges of the city that there may not necessarily be a fire hydrant that's within those 1,000 feet. Next slide, please. So I'm going to break it down between those three categories on how we scored and where we received additional points this year. So as you see in our dispatch center, we received just under 9 points out of 10. But we've done a lot of upgrades to our CAD system. We've upgraded our dispatch center. We've implemented GIS mapping. That's a big part for the fire department side, because it used to be, like Mayor Hammond remembers, the city was broken up into grids. And whatever fire station, yes, a map grid, whatever fire station was closest to that grid, they sent the fire station. Well, in the last few years, we've gone completely GPS. So now, if there's a fire engine traveling across Nibwick that's coming into another district, the GPS in the CAD system will automatically select that fire engine to go to that call. So it's no longer, the system's no longer broken into grids. It's all GPS based. We send the closest engine, no matter what fire engine it is, or squad, or ladder truck. And then our dispatch. I cannot applaud our dispatch enough for all that they do. They don't receive the accolades that they should. They're behind the scenes. They're the unsung heroes or unseen heroes. But for the first time in the last couple of years, we're finally meeting the NFPA benchmarks for dispatching. And so the NFPA evaluates them on how long does it take them to answer the call? How long does it take them to interrogate the caller? And then most importantly, how long does it take the dispatch center to get us dispatched and on the road? And we are meeting all of those benchmarks. And that's very impressive. And I just thank our dispatch center, because we couldn't do it without them, both us and the police department. Next slide, please. The other one's the fire department, so 37 points out of 50. So we still have room to improve, but we did see significant improvements in our score. We added Fire Station 3, we added the squad downtown, and then most importantly, when we added the squad, we switched to the truck, the ladder truck full time, because there's a threat there with all the buildings that are 3 stories or higher that they want a ladder truck in service, not only for the fire flow, but also the rescue capabilities, because our engines only have ground ladders that go to the 2nd story. So we have those capabilities now. And then staffing and training. With the addition of Fire Station 3 in the squad, we added additional staffing. And then our training center. That was our biggest and most efficient area in the last ISO rating. I'm happy to report tomorrow, I believe they're finaling the training center. So we'll have that up and running here shortly. We'll be reaching out to the council for a ribbon cutting for that. But it's also great that our training center, the other North County fire departments received credit for it, because it's a regional training center and they can all come here to train. So definitely a bonus for all the fire departments in the North County. Next slide, please. And then lastly are the water supply. So like I said, they look at the hydrant network, what's the flow capacity, what's the storage capacity. So we have the 2 Golden Hill tanks. We just rebuilt the tanks on the west side. That made a big difference. And then what is our maintenance and fire flow testing conducted annually? Next slide. So I put this up here so you could see where we were at in 2020 and where we're at in 2025. So we received, obviously, improvement in 3 of the 4 categories there, or 2 of the 3, I should say, because the 4 is extra credit. But the fire department was the biggest one that we received credit for. Water supply, we do note that we lost points there.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason for that was the water division for many years didn't have enough staffing. So we couldn't conduct all of these hydrant flows, the inspections, the maintenance. And again, I applaud the water department, because they were servicing and trying to do so much, and they just didn't have the staffing. The other factor was they continually had turnover. So they would come up here, get all their training, and then go to another city that paid more. So thank you, Mr. Leckel, he's been working on that, and hopefully we stay on track now and we have that maintenance, because nothing's worth, Mayor Hammond, as you know, you show up to a fire and the fire hydrant doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that has happened on more occasions than I would like to admit. But now that we've got our water department, we're starting to work towards improvement. I see us moving forward from here. Next slide, please. So what's some areas we're going to focus on in the future? We are looking at some more CAD dispatch consoles. As we get busier, we're going to need more dispatchers. The other one is I believe Chief Nord has in the budget 2 additional dispatchers. There's an assembly bill that just went into place that says that we have to provide emergency medical dispatching. So now we're going to tie up one of our 911 operators on providing pre-arrival instructions to whoever calls 911. So now we have 1 dispatcher left for if we have a fire, they're dispatching police, they're dispatching fire, and they're also dispatching ambulance, and they're calling the county for mutual aid. And that's impossible. So we need another dispatcher in there. So you'll see that in the budget request. Water supply, continue to work on the system and improving the system. And again, the inspection and flow testing is a big part of that. Again, like in the fire department, I mentioned we just need to make sure that we keep pace with development because it's very easy for us to go backwards at this point. As far as the training center, as I mentioned, is going to be hopefully final tomorrow. And you'll see there the phase 3 training classroom is the next phase. And we will be starting on that as soon as the training tower's finalized. I thank Ditas and her staff because they've been overwhelmingly supportive throughout the process, and they're going to take the lead on the training classroom as well. And we'll continue to improve our deployment and look at better ways to provide our service outside of just the squad. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to end the presentation with a thank you. It was 9 years ago that the City Council held a special meeting, a workshop, and in that workshop, you provided me direction to come back with a plan, and I gave the City Council a 10-year staffing plan, and you have stayed on track with that plan ever since. And that's really what got us here for the last 9 years, is we have implemented every step of that process. Also, the council and the community for J20. As you can see, since inception of J20, over $31 million has been spent just on police and fire. And then the ongoing commitments, just about $11 million, and that's paying for 52 positions. If we were to lose J20, we would lose 50% of the police department and 50% of the fire department. So we would not be here today without J20 and the community support. And lastly, but not least here, Mr. Congressman Panetta for his $500,000 grant that he provided us for the training tower. So sorry, that was a lot of information. I know you have a long night trying to get it out, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Jonathan. Questions of Chief?
Big thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I had a couple real quick. You mentioned that the Class 2s or the ISO 2 ratings, 2,900, was that in the whole United States?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So ISO is not just in California, it's all over.
Yes, it's national.
Yeah, okay. And then the other thing I was wondering about was with the new fire severity zones that impact our city limits, and it didn't seem to bother the ISO for some reason. And I know Tascadero, which has a lot more oak woodland than we do, and some red zones in theirs, has an ISO 2. And I think that's the other thing I wanted to mention too. I want some bragging rights on Mayor Barbeau because, we gave them that. I mean, I don't see how they got a 2 when we got a 2 with, our departments in 2 completely different designs. But the fire severity zones, how did that really impact ISOs?
Let me go back to the Barbeau comment real quick.
Yeah.
Is the only reason, the reason there are 2 is because of our training center.
Okay.
Because they got the credit and they had the same deficiency as us. So
Yeah.
I'm glad there are 2, but it was because of our training.
Well, that's good bragging rights for Paso Robles, that's for sure. Good.
As far as the fire hazard severity zones, that's not taken into consideration because really it's just focused on the capacity and the strength and the response of your department and just making sure you have the resources to address them. So we have the type 3. And then as we look at that threat element of it, it's almost like our 3 stories, our motels and all that. As long as we have the response force and the equipment to mitigate those emergencies, that's what they focus on. It's not the fire hazard severity, because we could sit here and focus on, well, what about all the hazmat sites in town?
Right.
What about, we have more motels than, Tascadero, and so it's just what is the weight of our response?
So I think the fire hazard severity zones, it's more on the building side, how are you going to build that structure in the future? Is that kind of more impactful on that?
It is, but that also impacts the insurance rates.
Right.
So if we're, making them happy on this side, then it's just another reason for them to go back on the fire hazard side. But fortunately, we did have a win there as well. So we're better than, because I remember they were going to go very high, and we got them to
Right,
stay with
you-
high.
you're-
So we did
you're-
win that one too.
Your letter back in the day to State Fire Marshal, I'm sure helped a bunch on that.
Yes, I have a new
Very good.
friend up there now.
Okay, thank you, and I'll open up the public. Anyone wishing to make a comment for Chief Stornetta?
Linda George, 3126 Spring Street. I was going to say this the night you cut off my mic, Mayor. If there's ever an example of two chiefs, Chief Nord and Chief Stornetta, of giving them their own budget, their own monies directly, I'm amazed at the vision that Chief Stornetta has for the city, the training center, what it's going to bring. It's going to bring so many more people. Also, Chief Nord, I've been bipping at his ear about using some of the J20 monies, about getting consultants for self-help neighborhood dispute. I've been going through one for 3 months now, and I've reached my wit's end with it. Police have been called, and it's just the most ridiculous thing I've dealt with. But I think that if we can use some of the J20 monies before they go to the roads, when they're wrapped up with the budget and go to the roads, I think those would be wise. The question that I have for Chief Stornetta is a couple. What is the difference between a fire dispatch and a regular 911 dispatch? And despite the way that they're rating your performance, obviously it's for insurance rates, but I just want to know if there's in the future, again, before you guys so kindly give the J20 monies back to the city for roads, if that can be used and picked up for the things that you need. And I will always say this to both the chiefs, give them whatever they want. They're really, I really think they should be recognized statewide. I have never seen anything like this in government service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dale?
Dale Guston, a thank you to the city because I live outside the city limits, but within the sphere of influence. And when the city got their upgrade, it helps even us that are in the sphere of influence. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone online? Let's get that question.
Yes, sir. Jan Albin.
Jan, can you hear us? Go ahead.
Very much. Chief Stornetta, congratulations on that rating, because I know it took a lot of work and a lot of effort, and hopefully somewhere down the line that rating will be passed on to homeowners. It hasn't yet with the lower cost, but hopefully it will. My question tonight, not questions, but so much of it as a statement, is I love station number 3. It's beautiful. And station number 1, obviously. But station number 2 over here on the east side, with all of the thousands of new homes that are going in, that station needs some serious upgrades, and it needs some serious expansion. There is land available around here right now. It may not be sometime in the near future, but there is now. So, Mike, I know, Chief Stornetta, you can't do much about it except request, but my comment to the council is this. Again, with all these new homes and all this new building going on over here on the east side, there is a serious need for station number 2 to see some upgrades, some new buildings, some new trucks, certainly more personnel. And so for the future, in hopefully the near future, I would like to see the council somehow or another budget from J20, somehow or another, some upgrades to station number 2. And I would like to hear your feelings on station number 2, Chief Stornetta. Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll close public comment, and then, Jonathan, if you can, I think the first question was about the dispatchers.
Yeah, I'll do that one second. That one's a little
Okay.
easier before I forget Jan's here because she has my number and she'll call and yell at me if I don't answer it appropriately. So as far as Station 2, as many of you know that have been on the council a long time, is that station is very old. It's on the old runway. It was a hangar at one point. We've remodeled it about 3 times. But that is one of our goals this year for the city council, and that would be in the next year to acquire property for a new fire station 2. That was highlighted in our standards of cover and community risk assessment with both police and fire. And one of the other factors in that was the response times for the police department to the east side. So what we're evaluating and working with the city manager on is a joint public safety center over there. Obviously not as big as the one downtown, but one that could house the fire and police department. And we've already started initial conversations with one of the owners of property out there that may be interested in swapping. So that is definitely on our radar.
And then the other one was
The
dispatch.
difference between a 911 dispatcher and a fire dispatcher, they're the same person. Yep, so they are cross-trained, where most, you look at the county, they have fire dispatchers, and then they have MedCom, which does the ambulance and police. But yes, that's why our dispatchers are so critical to us here in Paso Robles.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very,
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate it. We'll close presentations and move on then to general public comments. This is the time that the public may address the council on items within its purview but not scheduled on tonight's agenda. Council or staff may briefly respond to statements or questions posed by the public. Please fill out a speaker information card and give it to our city clerk before speaking. You'll have 3 minutes. And those people wishing to speak on any item scheduled on tonight's agenda will be given that opportunity to do so at the time that item is being considered. So Dale, looks like you're up.
Dale Augustin, attended the Meet the City, and I got to say, Paul did an excellent job on explaining his job as the economic development and what's going on in the city in that area. Thank you.
Hi, Linda George, 3126 Spring Street. I wasn't going to come tonight, but I got a few calls last meeting, and someone said, "Who groaned when you got up to talk?" So I did my little Nancy Drew investigation, and it's dwindled down to this side of the table. And it actually makes me really happy, because imagine if you were my son and had to get those lectures on a regular basis. You know, there's a lot of disrespect here, Mayor. I say it just about every time I come here. And it's usually from your cabal type of people. So I really hope somewhere along the line that can be placed in control. I respect you guys. I may be a little hot-headed, mouthy, or whatever, but that is my style of work. I am the persistent widow, and I'm okay with being out there. Anyways, to echo Dale, the coffee with the city was really incredible. Mr. Gregory was there, and Paul did an outstanding job. I'm a little leery about how much tourism that's still going to be concentrated on the ratio of whether the police department and the fire department can keep up with the growth. That's my only concern. There was a concern, Chief Norda said in the past that when, as far as he was concerned, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we're at 40,000 at all times with tourists. So we discussed that a little bit, and Paul had some really good answers, and one of my biggest concerns was the DUIs that happen here because of the wine. And he did point out that it is mostly our locals that are getting those DUIs. So those are the things that I think about as we grow. Since Sario is expanding, there's a lot that's going to go on. I was against the spaceport at first, but I see the need for it for the tech jobs. I thought you guys were always looking for Silicon Valley tech, not necessarily spaceport tech. And so it was really impressive. Chris came in from vacation. Paul, it was his day off. And I want to say to you guys, and I met Malowitz, Dave Malowitz, and I've come to the conclusion that Paso is going to be in great hands because you have technically 2 city managers at the helm. I think that, like tonight was going to be benign. I had no point of really coming, but because the groan came across my phone, my text, I listened, I couldn't hear it. I just hope that somewhere down the line that stops. So anyways, I just wanted to put those things out there. I had another comment, the bumpers on the expansion. I was so excited when you guys presented that at the last meeting to find out you're expanding the youth center. So Leslie was awesome. She came to our property to see if we can extend bumpers to our property, and we're going to handle that. So I always want to end by saying this. Thank you to the staff for always working for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online?
No, sir.
Very good. Go ahead and close public comment, and then we'll move on then to agenda items to be deferred. Mr. Huat, do we have any of that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Actually, this evening, the applicant for item Q1, that's your public hearing item, the applicant has requested this item be continued until your next meeting, which I believe is March 17th. So staff is recommending this evening that you open that public hearing and then continue it until March 17th, at which time the applicant will be able to be here and address any questions that may arise. With that, there are no other items for deferral.
Very good. Moving on then to consent calendar. This is the items on consent are considered routine and do not normally require separate discussion. However, if any member of the council or the public has specific questions or wants clarification on an item, we can get that answered before the vote is taken tonight. Secondly, any member of the council or the public that wishes a full discussion on a particular item, which will then cause that item to be pulled and to put to the end of the discussion items portion of tonight's agenda. I will now ask the council if they have any questions on this items 1 through 9 is what we have on our agenda. Anyone have any questions? Over here on my side, good. And anyone in the public wish to pull or have questions on this consent? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and then bring it back to council for discussion.
Mayor Hammond.
Pro Tem Gregory.
I'd like to move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 9.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Gregory, second by Bausch. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Beal?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Moving on to public hearings, we'll open public hearings and the approval of a development plan for 24 residential units, including an affordable housing density bonus, fence height modification, removal of 10 oak trees, and one lot map, tentative map 3254. And we'll go ahead and get Katie up here, or Warren.
So real quick, this is the item that the city manager just mentions to be continued. We do need to open the hearing. We do want to continue this to a date certain, which would be March 17th, 2026. So the direction or the recommendation is to open the hearing, take any comments, and then make a motion to continue.
Okay, so are we going to have then any discussion on the item that we're talking about?
No.
Okay. So then, Elizabeth, you want to kind of let people know how this is going to work?
Sure. I'm not sure if we have any. Good. I'm not sure if we have any public speakers for this evening, but if there are, they are welcome to speak this evening. However, if you speak on the item this evening, you will not be permitted to speak on March 17th. So if you would like to wait and speak following the staff presentation and the developer's presentation, sort of the full hearing, then you're welcome to continue, to wait and speak at that time. But you can't speak on both evenings because it's one hearing.
Okay, got that out. I'll open up the public. Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, and we'll bring it back to council for direction. Pro Tem Gregory?
Yeah, I move that we continue item 1
Second.
to March 17th meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by Gregory, second by Strong, to continue to date certain, March 17th for item 1. Call for the question.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Belch?
Aye.
Councilmember Beal?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Moving on then to discussion items. Number one, we have approval of commitment to defer certain development fees for the Highlands Senior Affordable Apartments at 298 Niblick Road. And Katie, you have that for us?
I do. Thank you, Mayor Hammond. As you said, this is a request for a deferral of fees for an affordable housing project that is proposed by the Paso Robles Housing Authority and the Affordable Housing Development Corporation. This applicant group has been working in Paso Robles to bring affordable housing. They paired together to bring us Oak Park phases 3 and 4. They also put together the Sunrise Villas out in the Olson South Chandler specific plan, and then they also worked on the Riverwalk Terrace together. So this is their 5th project that they are working on in Paso Robles, and for each of the previous projects, they have also made this same request for a deferral of fees. This project is located at 298 Niblick Road. Oops, now I've gone too far. 298 Niblick Road, so this is just east of South River Road. You can see at the bottom of the screen, that's where Kennedy Club is and Walmart and the Albertson Center. So this is a vacant site. We've actually had one other project before this came to council for approval, and that project did not move forward. The Housing Authority and Affordable Housing Development Corporation are now looking to do a similar but different project. So zooming in, the Planning Commission did approve this project on January 27th, so the entitlements are in place, and the council is just here to consider whether or not to defer fees. There are 30 residential units proposed. 100% of those units will be deed restricted to low-income households for 55 years. This project will be another age-restricted project similar to the Riverwalk Terrace. So 30 new apartments, mostly one-bedroom units with a few two-bedroom units in a single building. I've got it there in blue. That's where the building is located. You can see there's some parking lots and so forth around it. Here's a quick look at the building as you'll see it from Niblick Road. A 3-story building, nicely designed, as all of the projects that this group has worked on have been. So diving into the fee deferral request, our building department put together a fee estimate. This number is our current estimate of fees. That is certainly subject to change. There's CPI increases year over year, and this is an estimate, but just under $500,000 of fees is requested to be deferred. There is a requirement that the applicant would go into a loan agreement with the city and would repay that loan over 30 years, and there is interest. It is an interest-bearing loan. The fees to be deferred are the city water and sewer connection fees, the development impact fees, and the building permit fees. The Housing Authority is able to use the city's commitment to deferring these fees to further their application for tax credit financing. So they go out and seek financing that's available through the federal government, and the city's contribution of deferring the fees really helps to make their application more competitive. And as I said earlier, this group has worked on other projects, and this would be the same agreement, the same terms that the City Council has extended to this group in the past. So, of course, the City Council has options. The first would be to take no action, and that would, of course, mean that you would not be approving a deferral of the fees. You could approve the deferral of fees by adopting the draft resolution in front of you. You could refer this back to staff if you feel you need more information, or, of course, could provide alternative direction to staff. Staff is recommending that you approve the fee deferral. You would be approving Resolution 26XXX, and that would defer the water connection, sewer connection, development impact, and building permit fees for the project that we have described this evening. This would also authorize the city attorney to prepare that fee deferral agreement and execute it with the Paso Robles Housing Authority. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Katie. Questions of Katie Bannister?
Yes.
Pro Tem Gregory.
Yeah, Katie, just technical questions. I like this deferral process, but could you explain how it works? So when they construct the building, get it all complete, and they actually have incoming in, then they set up a deferral plan to pay that back?
Yes, the agreement is in place before they can have occupancy on the building, but
Right.
they have to start making. I don't know the terms as well as I should. Warren or Mr. Cornell might answer better.
Maybe the applicant, Lori Doyle's done a bunch of these. She can probably explain how the loans, payment restructuring works on these projects typically.
Yeah, that'd be just in layperson's terms, please.
Welcome.
Lori Doyle, Executive Vice President of Affordable Housing Development Corporation, co-development partner with the Paso Housing Authority. I can address that question. So in the past, specifically Oak Park 3 for Riverwalk and Sunrise, we've done similar agreements where it's basically called a residual receipts loan. So there is, if you recall, on these projects, we have to have significant local financing. So the city's fee deferral, usually the county, the Housing Trust Fund, or the county home program has also been bundled into that. This is like the third time I've used this term today, but the lasagna of financing that goes into these affordable housing projects. So the more local financing, that doesn't just mean city, it means county. It also means state. It really does give us a competitive edge for the low-income housing tax credits. So back to your question, it basically becomes like a soft second loan, and they all have their tiers. And so basically we, just like we all do with our own home mortgages, we have to pay the debt service, we have to pay the first mortgage to the bank, and then whatever cash flow is existing after that debt service gets split among the financial partners in the project. So the city would be one of those.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Lori? Thank you, Lori. Any other questions from council? Okay, then we'll go ahead and open up the public then. Anyone wishing to have a question on this? Dale, go ahead.
Dale Guston, we need the affordable housing. The only thing I would want to know is, are they going to give preference to Paso Robles residents on filling them, because they fill up fast?
Anyone else? Unless, do we have anyone online?
Yes, we do. Sheila Kurtz.
Okay, copy. Sheila, can you hear us? Go ahead.
Hi. Yes, this is Sheila Kurz. I'm just wondering if there can be any adjustment to the for additional parking. I just feel that there's not going to be enough additional or extra parking for guests because 55 and plus people are still working. Both, if they're married, they're both working, and so they both need cars. So that's my question: is there, is there going to be more parking added, if it can be, to this unit?
Very good, thank you. Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead and close public comment, and then we have a couple questions. Warren, can you, maybe the first one was preference of renters?
Yeah, so I think we'll defer that to the applicant. Maybe Nick, you want to answer that one, or Lori?
Welcome, Nick.
Hi, everybody. So for fair housing, I'm Nick Rasmussen, Executive Director of Housing Authority. For Fair Housing Act, we have to take applicants from everywhere, so it's not just.
So we can't limit to just to Roland's only, right? Okay, very good. And then
the parking question was discussed significantly at planning, which I'll bring Katie up real quick just to remind us exactly how that program works.
As you know, this is an affordable housing project, and the applicant, according to state law, is entitled to certain concessions. One of the concessions that the applicant requested was a reduction in the number of parking spaces. There are more than one parking space per unit, but it is less than what is required by our code. And so Ms. Kurtz is correct that there is less parking than we would typically see. The applicant is entitled to the concession that they requested, and the appeal period for this project is also also expired. So at this point, the Planning Commission has approved this project with the concession as was requested.
How many are they deficient, Katie?
I am not remembering, is it 34 parking spaces that are proposed? 38 parking spaces for 30 units.
38 for 30 units?
Correct.
Okay. And what's our code say, though?
So the code is 1 parking space for every 1-bedroom unit, 2 parking spaces for every 2-bedroom or larger unit, and then we do 1 parking space for every 5 apartments for guest parking. Let's see if I can do the math quickly. There may be a slide in reserve on parking.
Mayor, if I can jump in too, I just want to remind the council that the item before you tonight is related to the fee deferral and not the parking.
not the whole
I just want to make sure we're
Right.
staying on topic. Thank you.
So our zoning ordinance would require 54 parking spaces for a market rate project. 38 spaces are provided.
Got it. So looks like they're about, 16 short, somewhere in there. Okay, all right. Again, that's a good point. We are, again, talking about the fee deferral. And so, any other questions from council? Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back for discussion and/or action.
Mayor Hammond,
Pro Tem Gregory.
I recommend we approve Resolution 26XXX, authorizing deferral of water connection, sewer connection, development impact, and building permit fees, and authorize the city attorney to prepare a final fee deferral agreement for execution by the Paso Robles Housing Authority of the city of Paso.
Okay, I heard Pro Tem Gregory for the first and second from Bausch. Discussion. Okay,
Actually, I just want to make a comment.
sure, go ahead.
You know, the fee deferrals are a really important tool that the city has in its toolbox to help incentivize and facilitate the building of these types of projects. And so I'm glad we have Will on the council to do it. I'm glad we identified it as a priority as one of our tools. So it's really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not a forgiveness, it's just a deferral. We're going to push our funds back into the city at a later date rather than up front, so it works.
I think it's important to note that it's not a giveaway.
No.
It's a very low risk, if any risk, kind of proposition to help encourage building for the right type of project. So it's important to do this.
And, you know, for this project, I mean, sort of an estimate of, you know, nearly $500,000. I mean, that literally could be a deal breaker whether a project could go forward or not. So
Yeah, well,
it's really important that we.
With their testimony, it really makes it so they can actually get other
Yeah.
funds to make it work with that lower rate, so, perfect. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that and then call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes, aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Beal?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to discussion item 2, San Luis Obispo Council of Governments Final Transportation Expenditure Plan for a potential transportation sales tax measure. Chris, do you have that for us?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We're going to pull up a slide deck real quick. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this evening, staff from the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments is here as follow-up to an item that was brought to you back in December. But quickly, just for a quick overview, SLOCOG is our regional transportation planning agency. They program both state and federal funding into our regional transportation system. They are providing funding for various transportation needs in the community, including transit, highway, and roadway improvements. They're also the ones that prepare our regional housing needs assessment, which came up earlier this evening, although that's not what this presentation is about, but they do that as well. Next slide, please. So they are evaluating a half-cent sales tax for the November 2026 ballot. They were here in December to provide you all an opportunity to provide input on what was then the draft transportation expenditure plan. This is a plan that has to go along with the measure to show how the funds potentially would be expended should it be approved, placed on the ballot, and then ultimately approved. So that happened back in December, and then they went to each city, and I believe the county as well, to get that input They went back to their board on the 4th of February to revise and update that expenditure plan based upon that input, and then the SLOCOG board decided to move that plan forward. And so that's why we are here this evening, is they are seeking approval of the final expenditure plan from each city in the county. You can see they started to make the rounds. We're not first. I don't think they're going in alphabetical order, but Arroyo Grande and Atascadero both have considered and approved the plan that they will be presenting tonight. I believe the rest of the cities are in the queue at some point in the not too distant future to consider what you'll be reviewing this evening. So again, and I believe SLOCOG staff will probably be better prepared to speak on this than I will, but approval of the final expenditure plan is a step in the process to move this item to the ballot. There are certain thresholds that have to be met with cities approving it and the population numbers to be able to move it forward. So that's what's before you this evening. Next slide, please. What I really wanted to do here was just give you a quick glimpse, and their presentation is mostly focused on kind of the regional program. The question, if asked, is if this was approved and funding was made available through the program based upon the estimates that SLOCOG has provided, how would the city of Paso Robles leverage this revenue? There's two buckets, main buckets. The first is a direct allocation to the city. SLOCOG staff is estimating about $2.1 million annually would come to the city, and that would go, staff would recommend that goes directly into our local road repair program, in addition to I-24 and J-20 funds to increase funding available for local road maintenance. If you look at what our projections are in the near future about how much we are going to be spending locally, adding this $2.1 million into that would increase our spending on roads and maintenance at about 13% a year, roughly. Go back to the last time we did a deferred maintenance check on our roads, and at the time our consultants told us we had about $350 million in deferred maintenance, although I think we've been making pretty good headway in the last few years on that, but we're still, obviously in need of additional road repair work. The other bucket that's available through the program as proposed would be a regional bucket. They've broken it out into geographic regions. In the North County, it would total about close to $5 million annually. That wouldn't come directly to the city. That would be part of what I call kind of a competitive pot of funds that the areas in North County, the cities and some of the unincorporated areas would be vying for different improvement projects. And I think we're well positioned, should this funding become available, to leverage some or all of that for major improvements that are needed, maybe not all on city streets, but in particular looking at Union Road and State Route 46 East, as well as both of the 101 interchanges with State Route 46 East and West. And again, while those are not city streets, those are key corridors and have impact on transportation to and from homes and jobs and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to give kind of a quick kind of local flavor on where staff's mindset is should this move forward. But before we even get to that point, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Annie Bowski with SLOCOG, who will walk you through the presentation.
Very good. Amy, welcome.
And am I on?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And thank you so much for having us today. My name is Annie Bowski. I'm with the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments, and Mr. Huat did a great job of introducing SLOCOG, but just a little bit of background. We are the transportation planning agency for the county, so we are represented by all 7 cities, and along with the unincorporated areas, we actually have the largest governing body in all of SLO County. So just for the audience, we have a representative from each of the 7 cities, which includes council members strong, and then the Board of Supervisors also sit on our Board of Directors. And this slide right here, I'm pretty sure everyone has seen this before, and just as a reminder, this is kind of the reason we are all here today. So there are 25 counties in California representing 89% of the population who have a voter-approved dedicated transportation tax. And these counties are able to collect and then leverage hundreds of $1 millions at the county level and then put that up for state and federal funding. So our neighbors alone, since 2016, Santa Cruz, Monterey, and Santa Barbara have all brought in $100 millions in the past 10 years, and then they've also been able to leverage that. SLO County, if we had a dedicated voter-approved transportation tax, would have brought in about $270 million and then been able to leverage around $400 million of that back into the county, but unfortunately, we do not have that at this time, and this is why we are falling behind as far as transportation projects go. And this slide you guys saw back in December, and this is part of the transportation expenditure plan that you will potentially approve for today and was approved by our board of directors back at the February 4th meeting. And this basically breaks down a half cent for every dollar sales tax that would collect approximately $35 million per year within the county. And we've broken that into 4 different elements. So the first element being a 55% chunk of that funding would go to road repairs, safety and improvements. And this approximate $19 million would be divided among the 8 jurisdictions within the county. So that means Paso Robles would get approximately $2.1 million per year. And this isn't funding that SLOCOG would oversee. It is funding that the city could directly allocate to transportation funding. So it's not something that we would want to tell the cities what to do. We would just want to check that it was spent on transportation-specific projects. And the second element that has already been touched on is 40%. So this is for regional corridor improvements. Of course, the 101, the 46, and this would be broken down into 4 subregions. So North County would receive approximately $5 million per year of this funding. And once again, it's not the funding that's just collected, but the ability to leverage funds. The additional amount of funding would be 4% for senior, disabled, and veterans mobility services. This is something that doesn't get as much attention, but the people in this county who need these services and depend on these services aren't getting the level of service they deserve at this time, so that's why we would want to dedicate funding to this as well. And then finally, there would be a 1% administrative fee. So this would be a max amount of funding that would be spent on things such as creating independent audits, planning out project delivery, things like that, but it would just be a very tiny 1% of the overall funding, which we would want dedicated to transportation improvements within SLO County. Next up, these are just a few updates based on jurisdictional review, which you guys did back at the December 16th meeting. And these are just small little edits to the original expenditure plan. The key one, which was something actually the council voted on, was the division of funds for the unincorporated area. And just to go back here super quick, if you see at the bottom where it says unincorporated, it's a little over about $8.5 million. The Board of Supervisors and the SLOCOG board approved to actually divide that evenly among population among the 5 supervisorial districts for the unincorporated area. I know that sounds like a lot, but that was the request of council, and that's the direction the SLOCOG board and Board of Supervisors took as well. Additionally, there were some updates made to the maintenance of effort clause, and then just a few other additional quick changes to streamline reporting a bit more to make things easier for city staff. And just a quick look at what a half cent for every dollar sales tax would do for SLO County. It wouldn't go to things such as housing, groceries, prescription medication. It would raise $35 million a year, and during the 30-year sunset period, it would bring in approximately $1 billion in funding for the county, which would be able to leverage back approximately $1 billion to $1.5 billion at the state and federal level. And then funds would be for transportation only, be focused locally within the county. Visitors would pay their fair share, and it would also speed up project delivery, which of course reduces cost, which we're all looking for. And this is kind of where we're at right now. We are doing a final round to the cities, asking for approval of the transportation expenditure plan. We'll then bring that back to the SLOCOG board at the April 1st meeting, who will then decide to place a measure on the November 2026 ballot. And just a final review, if this measure were to be approved by voters in November of 2026, Paso Robles would see approximately $2.1 million per year added to their transportation funding, and the North County would see approximately $5 million per year added to regional corridor projects. And with that, we're asking council today to approve the final regional transportation plan, and I am also happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Very good. Questions, council? Okay. Go ahead and open it up then to the public. Anyone on this item? No one in the audience? Anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay, so I had some questions. Of that leverage, when it does happen, the half cent, especially at this point, the way it's laying out, Paso would be realizing about 2.1 million out of the 35 million that the half cent is going to raise in the county. But when we get the option to leverage that and we get some state and federal funds, is the percentages being distributed the same as it would be before, or is it on a project basis at that point?
It's definitely a project basis. One of the key kind of smaller programs we like to highlight is Safe Routes to School. And that's something just around a few blocks of schools. Communities can get up to 5 times a match. And so that's one of the higher rated matches. A majority of the time it does kind of equal out more 50-50, but each individual project has its own, and each individual grant source has its own separate kind of leverage of funding you'll get back. So I liked the term with housing lasagna, but I kind of compare it to a blend of wine since we're here in Paso. Basically, each project is its own unique kind of blend of different funding sources, and when you go out to leverage funds, you're getting a proportionate amount of money back, but it's not equal for each grant that is applied for.
Okay. That's a good analogy. I know you're a Roblin, you live in Paso, so that's good that you're using that wine thing. That's good.
Everyone gets it. So.
Okay. All right, we'll bring it back to council then for discussion and/or action direction. Councilman Strong.
Yes, I'm getting, I deal with this in various positions at the national and the state level as well. So I'm well aware of how these are used and how we have been deprived of the money by our inaction on this particular thing. And because of that knowledge and my continual operation in this field, I would respectfully move that we approve Resolution 26XXX, approving the SLOCOG final transportation expenditure plan for a potential transportation sales tax measure.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Strong, second by Beal. Discussion.
Yes, I think we should discuss this more, but that's the way you guys want to work it. I'll work it that way. I'm vehemently opposed to this project, and I'll tell you why, because the money does not get spent in Paso Robles. We have a major deficit at the state. We have a really tight budget at the federal level. We're in a rural area, and they award money rurally. The SLOCOG, with all due respect, has done a great job for us, but we're not getting our fair share. Our own half-cent sales tax returns $5.1 million a year to us, or whatever it is. And we control those funds. And that's my biggest concern about this, because when you deal regionally with money, you're talking from the top of the grade to San Miguel out to Shannon. And it all affects us, and I agree, it needs improvement. But I don't think it's fairly taxed or fairly spent in our area. And I don't agree with the concept. I do want that other money, but at what expense? And you can see what we've done as a city ourselves and our own administration of the funds. and making our roads get better. But I've also seen a lot of misspent funds by SLOCOG in the South County, and we get skipped over time and time again. And history, in my opinion, is the most important issue with this idea, because I believe it'll continue to happen that way. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll weigh in too a little bit. I'm kind of tossed. I think, in my opinion, I'd rather have the public make the decision on this. Again, it's just, all we're doing is moving it on up to have them vote on it originally at the end there. But the point is, in my thought, is no new taxes. In other words, if we're going to, have some taxes slack off, then we can add another one. But this will put us up to 9.25 at that point. And again, it's up to the public if they want to do this. The flip side of that coin is, if we do it, we're going to start realizing a lot more money. That's our taxes that San Luis County generates is going outside our borders. It doesn't come back. This is a way forward to come back. So that's another thing to think about. We would realize obviously a lot more money coming into our county for use. But I think at this point, I'd rather have it up to the public for them to decide. So, any other? Councilman Bouch.
I have to agree with both of you on this, that historically, when we're taxed in this kind of a mechanism, we seem to be disproportionately affected. We don't seem to get all the money back. I think most of you know my track record on new taxes. I'm not really fond of bonds. I'm not really fond of new taxes. If I were to support a new half-cent sales tax, I'm not proposing this, but I'm just saying, what if there were a new half-cent sales tax, and like you, John, it would have to go to the voters, and I agree with you on that point. It should be decided by the voters. Going back to something that Chief Tornetta reminded us earlier this evening, we have to continue our own sales tax measures. When we do that locally, those measures come back 100% to Paso Robles. I would rather favor that style of a tax increase where that money comes directly back, whether it's J20 or whatever, that style of roads and safety, if we were going to tax ourselves. That's what I would like to see.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Fred, question?
Yes. I would say, in response to all of that my experience is that we are one of approximately 5 regions in the entire state that is deprived of this money. All of the others get the money, and they all use it the way that this is being recommended, and it's very effective. They have gotten much more done with their roads than we have been able to do. And if we don't do this, the voters are going to have to approve this before it can go in anyway. That's what this is all about, putting it on the ballot, but showing that we would favor it being passed by the people, that's all. And the reason we favor it is that they will have more and better roads, period. It's in addition to our money, and the state legislation has already been passed that it will not in any way affect our sales taxes at all. This will be over and above the state limit. It's a separate area of approval for the taxation. So it doesn't affect our limit on our sales tax.
Yeah, I think
it's just additional money for us, and all over the state, they're getting it. And that pot is stable. It's a specific amount that the federal government allows, and that's all there is for the whole state. But we're one of the 5 regions isn't getting anything. That's not fair.
Pro Tem Gregory.
I'd also like to make a comment off what Chris Bouch had to say. We also have to think about our existing tax measures that are doing very well for our city and helping us live the way we're living, and being able to staff our fire department and police department. And anything we can do to protect that, I think, is really important. I don't think it's our position as a city council to support something like this. It's a voter's decision, and I can't support it. I'm okay if they want to take it to a vote, but I don't want to support it.
Okay, Councilman Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate everyone's comments, especially the comments around sort of how the funds are distributed and this issue of fairness and making sure, our area gets its fair share. I think it's important that we remember that there's a local roads component of these dollars that we are allowed to spend on our local priorities. So these, projects that Dita's has been presenting, Pine Street or Riverside or whatever, Orchard area, those are the type of projects that these dollars could go towards. And it would, in effect, accelerate those repairs and potentially make it less costly because you're beating time. There's also the regional component. The city of Paso Robles is in a unique position because we have major regional projects right here that have been prioritized by SLOCOG. So we, as Paso Robles, would benefit from a regional pot of money in the North County because 46 West, 101, 46 Union, et cetera, those are all priority projects. They'd be top of the list if SLOCOG were to go pursue funding. And the city of Paso Robles is in no position to be able to pay for those by ourselves. We could never fix that on ourselves. They're too big. They're just too big. And I think that this is a really good opportunity for us to address things that people care about. And again, this is just our approval of the council. It would, eventually, if there's enough support, then it would go on to a ballot. But I think it's a really important thing that we move forward.
Okay. Any other discussion, comment? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution 26XXX, approving the SLOCOG final transportation expenditure plan for potential transportation sales tax measure. Melissa, go ahead and call the question.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Beal?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
No.
Councilmember Gregory?
No.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on, we have the city manager report. Mr. Huat.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just 3 items for you this evening, just a couple of community awareness updates. The first is starting next week. You will see work happening out at Creston Road and Scott Street as we begin to construct a new traffic signal. That's part of the off-site development mitigation out there. So that'll start next week, and you'll start to see that work being done. We'll keep you updated as that progress progresses and when that traffic signal becomes activated. I know you're going to get to it probably in the next section of the agenda, but wanted to give the community just a quick overview for tomorrow night. We're going to be back in this room with the Planning Commission and the Airport Commission discussing the city's ongoing efforts to obtain a spaceport license for the Paso Robles Airport. So we'll have all 3 bodies in one room, hopefully streamline Q&A, get you all very consistent information across the 3 bodies. We're going to cover the history of the project, the progress that we've made to date, the remaining steps to secure approval, and then we'll also have an economic impact study report that was done for the project. So you'll be hearing from both staff and our consultant, RSNH. We will obviously have public comment on the item, and we're looking for our advisory bodies to provide feedback, and then for the council to provide feedback, comments, as well as direction. So we'll be looking forward to that. And then finally, I just wanted to let the council know that we will have a legislative update probably in one of the next few meetings from our legislative affairs team up at Townsend Public Affairs. They'll be working with them to give you a legislative update, everything happening at the state and the federal level. So we'll get teed up for that conversation. It'll be very exciting, I'm sure. So with that concludes my report. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Chris. Go ahead and move then on to council business and committee report. We'll start on my left.
Great,
Councilman
thank you,
Beal.
Mr. Mayor. I had a great meeting with Ken at People's Self-Help Housing, I guess a week ago. And again, as long as I've been on the Housing Authority Board or the liaison, one of the liaisons, there's really, really a lot to learn in terms of the affordable housing lasagna that we have. And again, I go back to this question of, are we building the type of housing that our residents need, that our workers need? We've been doing excellent work with Housing Authority. We're in great shape in terms of meeting our RENA goals, but I think it's important to remember that that's not enough. We still have extensive waiting lists at these properties. I also think it's important for us to be thinking about this next level of housing, sort of workforce housing, maybe first-time home buyer housing. We all know that buying a house is the best way to build security and equity within a family. And with the prices in our town right now, it's just very unattainable. I just think that it's important that we think about the mix of development. Yes, we do have new multifamily that's coming through the pipeline. We have, legally affordable units coming through the pipeline. We also have $1 million homes coming through the pipeline. And I'm not sure what the right place is where we ask, is the mix right? How are we looking overall, sort of coming up to this 30,000 point view? And I know in our earlier meeting there were questions that were sort of related to this. We had questions tonight about the deferrals and comments around how these projects are funded, and it is very, very complicated. I'm looking forward to the Housing Summit in April. I always learn at those. I don't know if our own Mr. Fraze is speaking, but he did a fabulous job last year. And I wonder if at some point it makes sense for the city of Paso to have some sort of forum, learning session, so Planning Commission and Council could sort of get on the same page about what the kind of tools that the city has. Because I also know the Planning Commission is asking these questions also. And it might make sense that we, have people from, for-profit development groups, nonprofit development groups, housing trust, planning, finding out what's happening in this landscape so that we can all educate ourselves. So thank you for letting me be of service.
Very good, Chris. Chris Bausch.
Just be careful that we don't stray into home builders. That's not our job. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that. But city council, the city is, that's what the whole Paso Robles Housing Authority's job is. We have to be careful to kind of watch how far we stray afield. So February 18th, Paso Robles Groundwater Authority meeting. On February 19th, I, along with several council members and some staff, attended the soft reopening of Charlie Palmer's Cattleman's Bar at the historic Paso Robles Inn. Thank you, Chef Palmer and staff. Wishing you very much success in the years ahead. Saturday the 21st, met with Francisco, council members Beal and Gregory, and the council titular Ambassador Ricardo Santana Velasquez from the Mexican consulate from Oxnard. We appreciate the documentation services that they are providing to our local citizens. On the 24th, very pleased to announce our fourth grandchild, our first grandson, Sean Christopher Bausch. On the 26th, attended the downtown Paso Robles Main Street Mixer at Calico's Brewery. Great to see that it was a very well-attended event with both regulars and quite a few newcomers as well. On Saturday, many of us joined the festivities at the event center to have a final send-off for Norma Moy. Thank you very much to Norma's family for providing a very respectful, very dignified, just a lovely celebration of life. So thank you for that. Later on that evening, attended with several of council members and several city staff, the Paso Robles Templeton Chamber of Commerce annual gala and awards ceremony at Rava Winery. I think there was something like nearly 600 guests, making it the largest gala in chamber history. Congratulations to Beautification of the Year winners Julie and Justin Fisher with their Grace and Rose Restaurant. Congratulations to Roblin of the Year, Mr. Jeff Gallagher of Central Coast Concrete Cutting. That's my report.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Councilman Strong.
Yes, and actually my specific city meetings were pretty minimal during that time. They're coming up heavy now, but then it was kind of light. However, I did have a regional meeting, which was as the new chairman and president of the Pacific Surfliner Railroad. And there, in that meeting, we had approved a budget expenditure of approximately $1.5 million a year for the purpose of putting another train on the track all the way from San Diego to San Luis Obispo with the bus service up to Paso Robles midday, so that we would have a noon arrival and departure, which is very good because it gets us into San Diego at a time when we still have time to get a hotel room for the night and start early the next day for any activities in Southern California. And also it's a good step toward the next iteration of getting more train traffic up to the Bay Area as well. So this is a big step. It'll be a daily trip, at least Monday through Friday, probably Saturday as well. And that would be a big help to us. It's an increase in our service by about 50% increase. All right? And that's about it.
Very good. Thank you, Fred. Pro Tem Gregory.
Yep. Thank you. So I attended the Supplemental Sales Tax Committee meeting, and it was a very nice meeting, a lot of discussion, and actually David was there with us and talking about ways to bring more information about J20 and I-24, the process of what we're doing as a city and bringing those tax dollars to the roads and the success of what we're doing. Also, in that conversation, it's really nice because we have a new analyst to help our city manager and assistant city manager put all this information out so the public can understand it and see it. I also attended the Paso Robles Inn opening for the Cattleman's Bar, and very nice, good menu. Highly recommend going there, and thank them for having that for us and remodeling, because we're always looking for a good place to eat. I attended LAFCO and was on that committee, and it was pretty quiet. It was just a review of some items on the agenda. And then I attended the mayor's meeting for appointments, and by the skin of my teeth, I was appointed to the LAFCO Commission again as a commissioner. Thank you for your good vote, John. And spent quite a bit of time at the with the Mexican ambassador and his right-hand person down in Ventura, and our good buddy Francisco. And they have such a need for this process, and what they're doing is they're getting the passports and identifications certified by Mexican citizens who live here. And there's such a waiting list that they're doing it for 2 days, and they're only getting, believe it or not, they're providing 400 documents for 400 Mexican citizens. They could do it 4 or 5 times a year, but they don't have a place to do it. So we're fishing. We're looking. I talked to John and Chris Bausch about possibilities of having it somewhere else more often. They believe they could fund it from the Mexican consulate. So I think it's a really good thing, because that is the first step to citizenship or becoming a legal immigrant in the United States. I also attended some celebrations of life for Jake Beckett, who's of the Beckett family. It's been over 1,200 people there, and he and his family have been a wonderful impact on our community, and especially the wine community and our community as a whole. And also Norma Moy's benefit was wonderful. So many good stories, and very well done by everybody on that. And that's about it for me. Just want to thank you. And I did have a housing comment that Chris Beal talked about, and Chris Bosch as well. I think it's really important that we as a city try to help market rate builders find a way to lower their prices. rather than get into our housing projects for Oak Park and all the housing authority things are going great. But what we're missing is the ability for a house that costs money so that people can buy it without subsidies or without government consternation, I'll call it. And the professionals that do it for our housing authority are excellent. But some way we need to find a way for our market builders to be able to come into our market and build it at a better rate. Smaller lots, smaller houses, whatever they are. And like Nick Tompkins and a few of these really large developers, I think are interested in coming here, but we need to hear from them what might work that we can do as a city. And I don't think we need to change policy too much. It's just sort of changing what the product is. And I agree with both Chris and Chris that we need to do something and we need to keep that process going. So, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. For me, I had a few things going on in the last couple of weeks. Of course, I start off with the Paso Robles area groundwater that I sit on, and on that meeting, it's kind of a fairly good step that we directed staff to come back with information about using Prop 26, which is a way of funding the authority for a bare bones agenda on what we're trying to do there with the groundwater basin. So that'll be next meeting, probably we'll be talking about that. The Chamber Board went to that meeting actually and spoke. I think Councilman Beal, you were there too. That was nice and good to see all the board and just give them updates on the city and what's going on. We also did the mayor's meeting, which the city, I as a mayor, host that twice a year usually, and it was last couple weeks ago where we were out at the Estrella Warbirds, and it was good to have all the mayors there and representing and talking about things. We also did what Councilman Gregory just said a minute ago. We did another official meeting for all the mayors once a year. We do that where we appoint seats to certain bodies like SLOCOG, and Pro Tem Gregory was elected into that by the majority of the votes there that day. Paso Robles School District, we had that meeting, quarterly meeting with Jennifer Lostis, and talked a little bit about the old Georgia Brown campus and how maybe the city can work together with that district, the school district, to maybe do something for everybody in that area. If they're going to not move forward with any kind of rehabilitation, maybe that property can be used differently for programming of sports and such. So directed them to start negotiating or talking about how the city can participate on that. We had the Nacimiento Water Commission, not a whole lot there to report. I think our NACI is sitting right about 62% right now. Also attended the Mexican consulate meeting down there, very good. Been there before, of course, and a lot of folks in there getting the thing done right and doing their due diligence to get into the United States properly. Also turned to Norma's memorial at the fairgrounds. That was huge. I think it was over 500 people there for that. And then also that same night we did the Chamber Gala Awards, which I think we were all there except for Fred possibly. Then also the next day, yesterday, or a couple days ago, was the Children's Museum. Had a lot going on this last weekend. That was a big fundraiser for us. I sit on that board too, and the Chipino Vino was very, very well done this year finally. And the public definitely brought up the level of support, and our kids are going to be looking at a little better rates to be able to participate and learn and play. So that's all I had for my issues there. Moving forward, we've got upcoming events. We have the Paso Robles Youth Commission meeting March 4th, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We have the Joint City Council Planning Commission and Airport Commission meeting here tomorrow night, and that's going to be from 6 p.m. here and until we're complete. Following that, we're going to have the Paso Robles Senior Citizens Advisory Committee meeting March 9th at 1:30. Development Review Committee March 9th, 4 p.m. And Paso Robles Park and Recreation Advisory Committee, March 9th at 4 p.m. Paso Robles Planning Commission meeting will be back here in this room, March 10th at 6:30. Library Trustees, March 12th at 9 a.m. Development Review Committee, March 16th, 4 p.m. Question real quick on that, Warren. Is Development DRC, are they up in the remodeled section now, or?
Yes, they've been in the Norris Room. We are planning on moving them back next week.
That's what I was wondering. I knew they were out here, but I'm just wondering, we're
Next
getting
week.
most everybody back in their seat up there, so I'm assuming that that's probably what's going to happen with the location on the DRC. Our next city council meeting is going to be here in this room. We're not going to be back at our home quarters for a while yet, but March 17th, 6 p.m. And I think that's all we have. Looking for an adjournment.
Move that we adjourn.
So motion by Gregory, second by Bausch. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.